Hello and welcome. This is the Love Not Tolerant podcast, where I talk about my journey to becoming a working artist, and I share everything that I am learning along the way. My name is Raven Kushner. I am a fine art mixed media painter, and I paint dreams of racial harmony. So this week I'm going to be talking about what I learned from the Ukrainian people, from all the stories on the news. You know, it's amazing the things that you can learn if you look at things from the right perspective. But first, I've got some artist updates. Follow me on Instagram at ravensfineart.ravenkushner to see my drawings and works in progress and some of the things that I describe on the show. You can see images of there. I have prints and products on my website, which is ravenkushner.com. And anything that I mention on the show, I do provide links to those resources for you. So check those show notes if you hear anything that is of interest to you. So this week is the start of portfolio week for me. Now, I had started out in the Milan Art Institute one-year mastery program last March. So started March of 2021, and I did it for a few months, but then I decided to take a break. So the way that their program is structured is in three parts. So they have the beginning, where you're kind of doing an overview of art techniques, painting and drawing techniques, and then you have a section on finding your voice, and then starting your portfolio, and then you have a final section, or actually maybe there's 4 sections. So there's general art knowledge, finding your voice, starting your portfolio, and then the last is the marketing section. So I stopped after the voice section because I knew portfolio was coming, and I personally didn't feel like my skills were to the level that I wanted them to be. Now, their promise in the program is that you can start from having no experience to becoming a working artist in a year, and that is probably possible, but I am on the disc profile. I am a high C and a high I. And that's a very strange combination because those two things are actually polar. Yeah, they are polar opposites of each other, just like S and D are. So the DISC stand for different aspects of personality. So C's are people that are very conscientious, critical, what are some other, like accountant type people. So those, very conscientious, detail-oriented, that kind of thing. I-type personalities are very inspirational. What are their I's? Other I words. they tend to be outgoing, fun-loving, bold, bright, that kind of thing. So I'm actually both of those things, which is really weird. I mean, C came out just a hair higher than I. So I'm saying all that to say that the reason why I stopped is that the I part of me was gung-ho, but the C part of me says, no, I want to be highly competent before I come out as a professional artist. And I just didn't feel that my work looked like the kind of works that I aspire to be like. So I took a step back. I got a private art coach. And that's when I started New Masters. Actually, I had already signed up for New Masters, but that's when I started studying their courses exclusively and getting my foundational skills up to par. And I did that for all of 2021 and up until this month, really. So now, after that period of time, I feel that I'm ready to work on my portfolio. So that's what I'm going to be doing this week. And I signed back up for the Milan Art Institute so that I could finish out the 1 year. So let's see, I think I did 4 months before I took a step back, maybe 5. So I will be done by the summer, by late summer. So it's very exciting. I'm working on my paintings. I've already gotten them all prepped, foundations laid, underpainting on. So I'm ready to go. I signed up for the mentor within the program, so you can do the Milan Art Institute program with a mentor or without. I always want to, if I, whatever you can invest in yourself. If you can afford it, I always think you should go ahead and do it. Even if it's a bit of a stretch, I think you should always bet on yourself. So I'm getting the mentor. We've already met each other, and we're going to have our first actual meeting later on this month. They also offer quarterly calls with the founders, Ellie Milan and her daughter, Dimitra. So I'm doing that actually as soon as the podcast is over. So it's very exciting. So my first set of paintings, the theme is going to be America. And the first 3 paintings are American Girl, parts 1, 2, and 3. So they're selfies of me with a stylized flag reference in the background. It's not going to be an actual flag. But the meaning behind the painting are that I really hate the idea that people think of Americans only as white people when this is a melting pot, and it's more and more of a melting pot every day. So I hate this idea of when people think of an American, they always think of a blonde. That's really a small subset of America. So American Girl featuring myself is like, yes, I am an American girl. I don't have a different nationality. I don't have a different identity. I am an American girl. So it's making a statement, but without being grotesque or in your face. It's just, hey, this is what it is. Another thing that I did this week is, I think I mentioned last podcast that I was interested in Transcendental Meditation, at least figuring out if it was right for me or not. And so I had a meeting this past Saturday with a representative from that group, and she was really nice. And she explains, what Transcendental Meditation is and how you go about it. And she took my questions. The only thing I didn't like, she was slightly defensive at one of my questions. I asked her why it costs, because it's not a huge investment, but it's hefty. It's not small. You have to invest in learning the methodology of TM. And I asked her, why does it cost? I mean, because I already meditate and I learned it for free. Technically, it wasn't free. I did learn it from a book, so I paid for the book. And then I went to a retreat, which wasn't necessary. So I was wondering, why is it so much, more to learn how to meditate? And so she was like, well, we have to put tires on our cars, and we have to do this and we have to do that. And that really wasn't an answer to my question. I understand that people need to feed themselves and put tires on their cars. I was asking, why does the meditation cost? The actual reason is that Transcendental Meditation is a methodology that has to be transferred from a teacher to a student. So it isn't put in any books. That's how it was created, is to be passed on in person, from person to person. So the people that do that are full-time, and so we're paying their salary. Okay, I can understand that. A simple answer to a simple question. So in any case, I did like it. I did my own research. I count YouTube as research. So I tried to find pros and cons. And the cons that I found were very minor and minimal. They had to do with cost. And some people really have money issues, they think everything should be free. I'm not of that mindset. I don't mind paying for stuff if it's worth it. I just want to know what I'm paying for. So I did my research and I'm good to go. So I have my initiation later on this month. I think it's the last Sunday in the month. So will let you know how that goes. All right. So I wanted to talk about what I feel like I'm learning from the Ukrainian people. And I am just as devastated as anyone. I mean, I guess you'd be more devastated if you actually had family there, something like that. But the idea of war, especially just a ridiculous power and land grab kind of stuff, it seems so from a different century. Are we still doing that? Are we still doing that in 2022? We're really just invading people just for power. That's what we're still doing. I mean, it's horrifying. It's shocking. It's degrading. I mean, as a human being, I'm embarrassed. We should not still be doing stuff like this. But here it is. Here we are. And I saw 2 stories that really moved me. One was a couple who went on and got married. during the war. They're a Ukrainian couple in their fatigues, getting married. I just thought that was just so beautiful and so special that they were like, that's, to me, despite the fact that they're literally fighting for their country, dressed in military fatigues and, in the military and so on. The biggest fight, in my opinion, is that they said, you know what, we're not going to let this dominate and dictate our lives. We wanted to get married before this crap went down, and we're still going to get married. Love is going to conquer all of this crap. And I'm just so proud of that couple for going ahead and getting married. That touched me so much. Another story I saw, or a video I saw actually, I think it was on Instagram, was of a classical pianist, and she had a piano in her home, and the video was of her playing, and then it pans around and it shows that she's playing in the midst of all the rubble from the Russian strikes. And I just thought, that's the same thing. That is the beauty of the human spirit triumphing over evil. And I'm just so excited that so many people in the Ukraine are really showing what we're all about as humans. And I've seen all these clips of people helping each other, having each other's backs. I saw this guy carrying his dog out, making sure he's not going to leave his dog behind. Stuff like that just makes me proud to be a human. And despite the embarrassment of Putin and his agenda, I'm just so excited that there are, the majority of human beings are true human beings, and they're showing that love wins out over all. All right, so that is actually all I have for you this week. Short and sweet. I had a bit of a glitch in my last podcast, so if you experienced that, I apologized. I have since gone back and fixed it, but it showed the podcast is running for 40 minutes and it was only about 20 minutes. So there was a glitch there that I fixed. So if you were overwhelmed about the time and you didn't download it, or you downloaded it and you wondered what was happening, that's what it was. So just re-download it and it's all good. All right, so I hope that all of you have a wonderful and productive week. Stay excited, stay in love, stay productive, stay honest, stay true. Hold the world and the people around you to the highest standard possible. Hold yourself to that high standard, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.